Welcome to episode 3 of our 5th series on colonial families of Appalachia and the American South. It's my goal to rediscover the linguistic and cultural origins of regional family names, as well as look into when members of the family first arrived in America. On today's episode, we'll explore the origins and earliest lines of some regular folk, and then delve into a couple of politicians and arguably one of the best character actors of the last 60 years. I hope you'll join me. Number 1, Vance. When I received this request, I immediately thought of Bill Clinton as I contemplated J.D. Vance, our vice president. You might be thinking, Van, are you delusional? Why would you be thinking about Bill Clinton when thinking about J.D. Vance? Well, that's a good question. So let me explain. Both Bill and J.D. share Upland South and Scots-Irish heritage, but here's the real reason that Bill came to mind. Both are prominent politicians who were born with different surnames. Bill was born as William Jefferson Blythe III, and J.D. was born as James Donald Bowman. Both men were adopted by stepfathers. J.D. became James Donald Hamill, but eventually he decided to adopt his mother's maiden name. He spent much of his time growing up with his mother's family's grandma's mamaw in Jackson County, Kentucky, which is in the heart of Appalachia. His story is told in the autobiography and movie entitled Hillbilly Elegy. Well, what about the surname Vance? I can tell you that next to Vaughn, I've been called Vance more times than I can remember. In truth, we share similar origins. In Wigtonshire, Scotland, there was a family named Voss who changed their name to Vans, V-A-N-S, and from there we have Van and Vance. Voss was occasionally, or actually, a Scottish Norman surname. However, Y chromosome tests show that while Van, Voss, and Vance share similar insular Celtic haplogroups, my line of Van is different. One of the earliest lines of folk named Vance in colonial America was started by Andrew Williamson Vance, born in 1666, passed away in 1754. He was born in County Tyrone, Ireland, that's up in Ulster, which is where J.D. Vance's family originated. Andrew immigrated to Frederick, Virginia, where he and his wife, Jane Hodge, I don't know, you tell me. I've got Hodge in my family, but it wouldn't have been spelled like that. Anyway, Jane raised a dozen kids, and I'm confident that Vance is a colonial American family of mostly Scots-Irish ancestry. Keep in mind that virtually every Scottish, Irish, and Welsh family name made their ways to jolly old England during the Industrial Revolution. Number 2, Blythe or Blythe. I think it's Blythe. Anyway, since we've already discussed Blythe a little, it's only fair to go ahead and cover it. As we saw a couple of minutes ago, Blythe is the birth name of William Jefferson Clinton. This habitational surname originated in southeastern Scotland. However, there are some folks named Blythe living in Ireland, and some of them are not related to the Scots. You see, 1,000 years ago, there were the families. And over time, some anglicized their spelling to Bly. Again, it may be the wrong pronunciation. But anyway, it looks like Bly to me. While others further changed it to Blythe. In looking for colonial era paper trail information, I found that there are quite a few Blythe families in Australia. Should I point out that in the event that you have your DNA tested, you might want to note this sobering fact. We lose genetic connections to cousins between 5 and 10 generations from a common ancestor. So, like a person who has only colonial ancestors, they have very few, if any, DNA matches in other countries, including those countries or regions in which you have your largest ethnicity estimate. It's interesting. In regard to its colonial presence in America, I was able to find a family line that was introduced in the Carolinas by parents of questionable origins that began before 1700. William Blythe was born in 1700 in Chowan County, North Carolina. He and his wife, Elizabeth Champion, she was born in 1700, died in 1789. She lived a long time, 89 years, a long time back in the 18th century. And they had at least 4 children. William passed away in Bertie County, North Carolina at the tender age of 49, but Elizabeth relocated to Mecklenburg County, that's down in Charlotte, I believe. And she outlived her husband by 40 years. At the end of the day, I'm confident that Blythe is a colonial American family, Even though linguists place the origin of the name in Scotland and Northern Ireland, I can't be completely sure that William Blythe's parents came from the Bonnie Land or Ulster. If I were a betting person, though, I would say that they are Scots. Number 3, Duval. Every once in a while, an actor makes a significant impact on me. If you're like me, you are convinced that one of the greatest actors of the last 60 years was Robert Duval. I'll never forget the immortal words he uttered in the 1979 movie, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." If you know the name of that movie, jot it down in the comments section. I love hearing from you. At any rate, Duval is a French surname that means from or of the valley. It's also found in Belgium and Great Britain. In England, it arrived with the Normans and later the Protestant Huguenots, who also came to America. In fact, the earliest line that I could find was started by Marien, that's M-A-R-E-E-N, Duval, born 1630, died 1690. He was born in Nantes, France. He immigrated to Anne Arundel, province of Maryland. He and his wife Marie had at least 5 young'uns. At the end of the day, I'm confident that Duval is a colonial American family of French and possibly Anglo-French origin. Number 4, Cutshaw. The consensus among genealogists points to a German origin for this Americanized name. In German, it was Gottschall or Gottschalk. It meant God's servant. This surname is well represented in East Tennessee, specifically Sevier and Greene counties. In fact, the paper trail that I found led me from East Tennessee to Pennsylvania and then to Germany. The best that I can determine is that Frederick Wilhelm Cutshaw, born 1764, died in 1830, changed his name from Gottschalk to Cutshaw or Cutshaw. He married Catherine Cleasley in October 1786 in Pennsylvania. Catherine was born in Philadelphia in 1765. So even if Frederick didn't arrive in America before 1776 in the first shots of the American Revolution, the family he created with his wife has American roots before the Revolution. Both Catherine and Frederick passed away in Greene County, Tennessee. I'm confident that Gutshaw or Cutshaw is an Americanized name for a family that has deeper German ancestry. Number 5, Hunn. I'm a bit surprised in a good way that we have another Germanic surname. It likely first arrived in the British Isles with the Anglo-Saxons, who filled a power vacuum caused by the withdrawal of Roman legions in around 410 AD. The Angles and Saxons were joined by Jutes or Jutus from what is now Denmark, and the Frisians who lived in what is today northern Netherlands or Holland. Nevertheless, the name meant giant or bear cub. You might reasonably think that it sounds close to Attila the Hun. Now, the Huns spoke a Hunnic language that was introduced into East Central Europe by Central Asian people called the Huns. The surname in the south in Appalachia does not share that origin. It's Germanic or Anglo-Saxon. If you suspect that your male ancestry leads to the Huns, have your closest male relative submit his DNA sample for a chromosome test. If the result falls into one of these chromosome haplogroups, then you might just be not a redneck, but a Hun. Now, let's see where our paper trail takes us. I wasn't too surprised to see that there are quite a few records online that show Hun folk living in Germany, England, Holland, Norway, and even Australia. That appreciation helps reinforce what we just discussed about the linguistic aspects of Hun. One of the earliest lines in America was started by Nathaniel Hunn, born 1625, died in 1704. We know that Nathaniel was living in the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1649 because he married Sarah Keene in Boston that year. I'm confident that Hunn is an early American family of Anglo-German ancestry. Well, that's about all I have for you today, folks. I hope you got something meaningful out of the discussion. If you'd like a free catalog of the surnames that I've covered thus far on all 4 seasons, write to me at vantagepoint22@gmail.com, and don't forget there's 2 N's in Vantage Point, and I'll send it to you as an attachment. If the man warrants, I'll return with another episode in a few days. In the meantime, God bless you and yours. Bye-bye.